you launched Still the Place in July, right? And so
Yeah.
how's it
Yeah.
been how did this come about and how is it going?
It's so funny. A friend of mine called me one morning and said, I had a dream that you had a rewatch podcast. I went, huh. And I called Daphne Zuniga and Laura Leighton, who've been working on a reboot. And I said, have you guys ever thought of a podcast? And they said, hold on. And Daphne had a connection to iHeart. And it happened so fast. You know, when things are supposed to happen
Mhm.
and they just all the doors open. And my spiritual truth right now is I just go through the open door.
When Melrose Place was on, I was a young mother with a little boy, and my
Oh,
husband was an auditor, and he was gone 2 weeks out of every month. So Wednesday night was, all right, get that kid ready for bed, turn on the TV, bottle, feed him. And he didn't know. I'm like, hey, guess who I'm talking to tomorrow? But you watched it, but you didn't know you watched it. But that was my thing. It was like, okay, I'm here. I'm by myself. I'm in a city. I don't know anybody else. And I'm feeding this baby and I'm watching my shows, my guilty pleasures. So yeah, I do. It's so
oh, that
fun
is
to
so
hear it.
sweet.
It's just so fun to hear the rewatchables and think about what you all talk about in the scenes, and then thinking about, oh yeah, I remember that. I remember when that happened. So it's really been a lot of fun for your former watchers and current listeners.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's the show, and I did a lot of things after Melrose Place, but it's the thing that people talk to me about the most to this day because it was a time in their lives. That's why Laura came up with the name Still the Place. And I just loved it because what people talk about is I had an apartment building like that. We watched it in a group. One of my friends, one of my son's friends, his dad is a really successful back surgeon. He said, in college, I wrote an article for the paper about Melrose Place. I was like, oh my God, like it's so sweet to have something because it was my time too. I mean, I was 24 when I started it. So that was my time too. And those were the people that I did the show with were my friends. Like we really did get along. We really went through, we dated each other and we talked to each other
Oh,
and
we're
we had,
gonna get there. We're gonna get
oh, we're so getting there. We are so getting there. We did, like we were talking about this, we did 33 episodes a year, which was insane. It was insane, but you really do make money. Like you make enough money that if you're careful, that can last you a lifetime. If you listen to the podcast, you may have heard it when Grant was on, but we shot the opening credits at Johnny Rockets on Melrose. And you're like, do you remember I almost got into a fight with that guy? Like it was some famous person. So it's like, I do remember, like he really was so tough. Grant is a wonderful mix of super sweet and really ethical and a great guy and genuinely tough. Like he rode a motorcycle to work in
Yeah.
Santa Rita. I don't think they'd let an actor do that today.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to that. I was dying because I thought, oh, he's just acting. He's not. And I'm like, oh, he really did almost get into a fight. It was Steve McQueen's son. I was like,
Oh,
Yes,
yeah,
that's what it was.
it was Steve McQueen's son. And I was like, oh, and it's been very interesting to hear this little backstory about what was really happening to you guys at the time. At the time, I didn't think, oh, that's super creepy. And it's actually getting a lot of attention that Grant Show was dating a high schooler. Well, he wasn't. His character was. I take that
Jake was.
back.
Yeah, Jake was.
Jake
Let's make
was
that
dating
clear.
Kelly. Yeah.
Yes. And it was kind of like cool and sexy. Those things don't age well. Like a lot, like, oh, that did not age well. And I
No.
thought, well, it'll be a flirtation. And then they started kissing. I was like, no, 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 no.
what is it like for you to actually do these podcasts where you're kind of talking about all these things that happened in each episode? Is it bringing back some great memories? Are you going, I've totally forgot about that?
You know what's been the sweetest thing that surprised me? Um, it's like there's enough time has passed. The first episode, I was really self-critical, and then it just sort of lifted. And Jenny and Tori had said to us, "You're going to become fans of the show." And I thought, really? And it does. I'm out of my own way now. And one of the things that's really surprised me is I'm looking at myself at 24, and what I mostly am connecting to is how hard I was on myself then.
How has it been being together on the podcast? You guys worked together in your 20s and 30s. What's it like now working together?
It's so sweet. And we did all of this stuff sort of started happening at the 25th anniversary of Melrose Place, which was like 8 years ago now, which is crazy. They got some of us together in New York to do a reunion. And that's when all this stuff sort of sparked. And it was so much fun because at the time we were doing it, not only were we all in our 20s and with everything that entails, we were working 16 hours a day, photo shoots on weekends, all of this. It was very intense. So it's nice to come back together all so relaxed and really get to look back at this time and without any of that noise, like we're all happy. Most of us are married or were married. A lot of us have kids. Daphne doesn't have kids, but she just got married, which is adorable. She's a newlywed, which is adorable. Laura and Doug was cute. And the other day, Laura called Doug because he was in a scene and she got to call her husband, who obviously she met on the show, and it was so sweet. They have kids together. They have stepkids together. It's so sweet. It's really fun. It's so long ago that it's almost like you're talking about another life.
What are some things that stand out to you that are so different from the 90s when you were making, like, that are in the episodes that would not happen now?
Well, no cell phones,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do we find each other? If you're out somewhere and you miss each other, it's over. And then in that first episode, when Alison like put something in the newspaper and people just come to her door, right? That's
Yeah.
crazy. A young single woman.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. How much rent was making us laugh. That was so interesting. And I thought the clothes were going to be so embarrassing, but they've all come back. The
Right?
clothes actually look pretty fashionable.
Yeah. Yeah. You could do that.
If
Yeah.
you keep it long enough, it comes back into
It comes
style.
back. I've kept
It
a
comes
few.
back into
Yeah.
style. So the timing for the podcast is really good because those clothes are back in style. I'm looking forward to now we're doing, I don't know if you guys probably didn't watch it from the beginning, but the first 12 episodes is kind of 8 nice kids trying to make it. And we almost got canceled because it wasn't really, I think our numbers were falling off after Melrose. Nothing was really happening. And then Heather came on as a bad guy and Laura came on and it started to get more dramatic. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Like I'm looking forward to the apartment building blowing up. Marsha, what was Marsha's name on the show?
Kimberly.
Kimberly, thanks.
Yes.
Kimberly taking up
Taking off the
getting
wig.
yeah. Like I'm ready for Michael and Josie to stop doing like regular marriage fights and for him to get really mean and dark. Remember?
Oh,
He
yes.
That's what I'm excited for. I want the action to start. I'm ready.
Oh,
These
it
are very
was.
sweet, and I love watching these. It really brings back a lot of sweet memories, but I want things to get dramatic.